So about 6 months ago, I got the Pixel 7 Pro with a bundle deal with Fido with great data plan and stuff. Well, great for Canada. And I must say, it's the worst phone I've ever used. I hate it so much. I've actually started making a list of all of the reasons why I hate it so much because there's so many I kept forgetting them and I couldn't really list them all off when I wanted to tell people why I hated it so much. So this will be part one, me reading off the list of things I've written down so far, and as we go on, I'll write another list and follow up with a part 2 video. First thing, and these are in no particular order, they just happen to be in whatever order I wrote them down, it constantly overheats. I got it in the middle of January, so I didn't notice that because I live in Canada and it was really cold in January. But as soon as the snow melted and it was above +7 Celsius outside, it started overheating and refusing to upload photos. It would stop recording video randomly. It does that constantly. And now that it's summertime, it basically is useless as a camera. I don't use it for recording video outside because it just overheats constantly and will stop recording. It'll say the video quality will be lower due to overheating, and it will just stop randomly and give errors like something went wrong, the video may not have been saved, and it says something like that. It overheats constantly while charging, it overheats while playing games. It just used a screen recorder to try and record a video game indoors in an air-conditioned room, and it overheats and stops working. It doesn't tell you that it stopped recording, it just stops. Speaking of the screen recorder will not record for more than an hour at a time, and does not override the screen lock settings. So say you are recording a program that makes graphs, and you want to do a time-lapse of the graph creation, such as I do for my gamma spectrometer, it will record for only an hour and then stop recording, but that's only because I got a third-party app that keeps the screen awake. The screen recorder doesn't keep the screen awake. My Samsung S10e is able to record. I've done over 48 hours straight screen recording on this without any problem. Also, speaking of screen lock, when you push the power button, it doesn't stay off. It comes right back on almost immediately based on acceleration or accelerometer or something. There's been numerous times when I've done stuff with it in my pocket because the screen came back on right after I turned it off with the power button and didn't realize. The wide angle and telephoto cameras do not work with third-party apps. I have a background video recorder app that I've been using for years on my Samsung with the wide angle lens at low bitrate for security and safety reasons whenever something needs to be recorded, and I don't want it to make it obvious that I'm using my camera to record. Well, on the Pixel, that does not work. You can't use the wide-angle lens to get a good wide view of where you are. You have to use the regular lens, and it overheats and stops recording without telling you. Again, with my S10e, I was able to record for 5, 10 plus hours at a time, sometimes on a single battery charge, and it would just keep going and going and going and not overheat, not do any problems in the same country, in the same city, in the same temperature range. I've even had the S10e outside in the sun, live streaming for hours, and it hasn't had a problem. With the Pixel 7 Pro, you're lucky to have that happen for more than 10 minutes before it stops streaming or stops recording and overheats. Speaking of using it outside, the screen is almost completely unreadable in sunlight. I put the brightness all the way up to maximum, it overheats, it gets really hot, and you can't read it at all. Apparently, reading online, it uses like 4 or 5 watts for the screen at maximum brightness. No wonder it's overheating, but you still can't even read it. The screen on the S10e, a cheaper, much older phone, works so much better in the sunlight. Another feature that the S10e has that this doesn't, not to mention the lack of an SD card slot, no 3.5mm headphone jack, and other things like that every phone has taken off recently. This phone has separate app volume control. That means I can have the YouTube Music app at one volume level, I can have the YouTube app at a second volume level, I can have my Rain Sounds app at a third volume level. Every app can have its own separate volume control, and you can play volume from all 3 apps if you want at the same time. The Pixel, good luck having more than one app play sound. Sometimes you can do that with 2 apps, but often you can't, and you definitely can't set the volume levels independently. I just hate it. Instead of using my nice new shiny Pixel 7 Pro that I'm spending a lot of money on every month for still, if I need to do anything professional, if I need to do a live stream, if I need to make a video where I can't bring my good camera, I'm still using my 4-year-old S10e because it's just reliable and it works. God Damn, I hate this phone. Do not buy a Google phone. You will regret it. Hopefully this helps somebody. Give a thumbs up if this helped you. I'm sorry, I am pissed off. God, I wish I just bought a new battery for my S10e instead of getting this phone. If I could return it, I would. Google's like, oh, list all of the reasons what's wrong with it. Send us pictures of every side. Send us the receipt, and then maybe we'll do an RMA. But that's so much work. And I love the S10e, but it's been 4 years, and the battery doesn't last very long anymore. So, what can you do? What can you do? Don't buy this phone. Don't buy this phone.